Welcome to Wawasan Wire. Today we're talking about something that's really gotten people questioning our justice system. Okay, let's get into it then. We're looking at the case involving Adam Radlan. At the time, he was the deputy division chief for Bersatu in Segambut,
Yes.
and he was facing some very, very serious accusations. 12 charges in total, covering both corruption and money laundering.
That's correct. The allegations were pretty extensive. For the corruption part, he was charged under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009, specifically Section 16A.
Okay.
These included accusations like soliciting bribes, percentages actually, between 3.5% and 7% of a road project value. We're talking about a project worth nearly RM 48 million in Perlis.
Wow, okay.
And this was linked to the Jana Wibawa scheme. There were also charges of actually receiving money, RM 500,000 in one instance, another RM 4.1 million, and soliciting yet another RM 2 million, all tied to Jana Wibawa.
So multiple instances, substantial amounts, and these MACC Act charges carry potentially heavy penalties, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking potential imprisonment up to 20 years and fines that could be 5 times the bribe amount, or RM 10,000, whichever is higher. So definitely not minor.
And then beyond the direct corruption, there were the money laundering charges. That adds another layer entirely.
It does. He faced 7 counts of money laundering involving sums over RM 3 million. These fall under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing, and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001, AMLA,
Right, ALA.
Section 4.1B specifically. This targets transactions involving money believed to be proceeds from illegal activities.
And the penalties under AMLA, also significant.
Equally serious. Potential jail time up to 15 years. And again, very large fines, potentially 5 times the value of the illegal proceeds, or RM 5 million, whichever figure is higher. These are the types of charges that you typically expect to see go through a full court trial.
Given all that, 12 serious charges, millions involved, potentially decades in prison, you'd expect a major court battle. But that's precisely not what happened here, which is why we're talking about it. What was the resolution?
Well, this is where it gets surprising for many. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court acquitted Adam Radlan, acquitted him of all 12 charges.
Acquitted? How?
It followed a payment he made, a compound payment, totaling RM 4.1 million.
Okay, hold on. A compound payment. Can you explain what that actually means in this context? Because paying something sounds like a penalty, but acquittal means not guilty. How does that work, especially with AMLA?
That's the crucial legal mechanism here, and yeah, it can be confusing. Compounding, under Section 92.1 of AMLA, gives the public prosecutor, or an authorized officer in this case, effectively the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, the power to offer to settle an offense.
Settle, like an out-of-court deal.
Essentially, yes. Instead of proceeding with prosecution, they can accept a sum of money. The law caps this at 50% of the maximum fine for that specific offense.
So it's an agreement before any conviction.
Exactly. It's not a fine imposed by a judge after finding someone guilty. Here, the MACC received a representation letter from Adam Radlan back in June proposing this compound. They agreed to it. He paid the RM 4.1 million. Once that was done, the prosecution informed the court they were withdrawing all the charges and had no further intention to prosecute.
And because the prosecution withdrew.
The court then formally acquits the accused. There's no case left to try.
So what does that acquittal mean legally for him? No criminal record for these specific charges.
Correct. Legally, he's cleared of those offenses. It's as if the charges were never proven. This is very different from being found guilty and then paying a court-ordered fine. The criminal liability for those 12 charges is extinguished.
From the MACC side, is the argument just about getting the money back quickly, avoiding a long trial?
That's often cited as a key benefit, yes. Asset recovery without the time, expense, and uncertainty of a prolonged trial, which, as you know, can drag on for years. It's seen by some as a pragmatic tool.
Okay. Pragmatic or not, this outcome didn't exactly go unnoticed. It caused quite a stir, didn't it? Especially in political circles.
Oh, absolutely. The reaction was swift and quite strong from some quarters.
One prominent voice was Puad from the UMNO Supreme Council. He seemed particularly critical. What was his main point?
Puad really zeroed in on the fundamental question. He basically asked, very publicly on Facebook, should corruption cases even be compoundable?
Right.
He drew a sharp line. He said, look, maybe compounding makes sense for minor administrative things like, a traffic ticket where it's just about settling it efficiently. But he argued it was never meant to lessen the severity or bypass the criminal justice process for serious crimes like corruption.
So he's essentially saying you can't equate A multi-million ringgit corruption and money laundering situation with a simple summons.
Precisely. His argument wasn't just about whether AMLA technically allows compounding. It was about whether it's appropriate to use that provision for cases involving such large sums, alleged abuse of power, and potentially public funds, especially when the end result is a full acquittal, not a conviction.
Did he say who should explain this?
Yes, he specifically called out the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, demanding a clear explanation for their decision to accept the compound in this case.
It's a strong statement. Coming from someone like Puad, a senior figure in UMNO, what do you think the underlying intention might be? Is it just legal principle, or is there a political dimension too?
Well, it's likely multifaceted. On one level, it taps into genuine public concern about fairness and transparency in handling corruption. It holds institutions like the MACC accountable. But politically, yes, it also serves to position him, and perhaps UMNO more broadly, as taking a hard stance against corruption, particularly when it involves figures from rival parties or sensitive schemes like Jana Wibawa. It puts pressure on the current government and the Attorney General's chambers regarding how these high-profile cases are resolved. It's about shaping the public narrative around justice and accountability.
Yeah, it definitely fuels that narrative.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the bigger picture, the overall fight against corruption in Malaysia.
Exactly.
If cases involving such serious allegations of large sums can effectively be concluded with a payment and an acquittal, what message does that send? Both to the public and, maybe more worryingly, to potential future offenders.
That really is the crux of the issue, isn't it? It highlights this potential conflict between the letter of the law, AMLA Section 92 exists, and the spirit of justice that the public expects.
Yeah.
The public often wants to see a full, transparent trial when serious allegations involving public trust and money are involved. There is a concern that using compounding in these high-stakes situations, while perhaps efficient for recovering some funds, might create a perception.
Perception of what? Two tiers of justice?
Potentially, yes. A perception that maybe the wealthy or well-connected have access to resolutions that aren't available to ordinary people facing less serious charges. It risks undermining public confidence in the very institutions tasked with fighting corruption.
And it could weaken the deterrent effect too, right? If the outcome is just a payment, not a conviction and potential jail time.
That's a significant risk. The authorities, the MACC, and the Attorney General's chambers have to weigh the benefits of asset recovery against these broader implications for public trust and deterrence. It's a very difficult balancing act.
So it leaves us grappling with this really fundamental question. When we're talking about serious corruption in Malaysia, involving potentially vast sums of public money, should a monetary payment, even one allowed by law, be the end of the story?
It's a debate that clearly isn't over. The application of laws like AMLA in these contexts will likely continue to be scrutinized very closely.
And the answers will have really profound implications for the country's integrity and how serious we truly are about tackling corruption at all levels.
Right.
Something we all need to keep watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.